This is the Paranormal Report.
Welcome to the Paranormal Report. I'm Jim.
I'm Dar. What's up?
Well, just a big day today. Had a lot of interviews, a lot of good interviews for the Paranormal Podcast, but
More to go.
It's been busy. More to go. Two quick things before we get going with the Paranormal Report. First of all, Thursday, which if you're watching this on Wednesday is tomorrow, Thursday, August 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. For Plus Club members, we are having the Spooky Studio Net. That is Thursday, August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's just this get-together that we have. And if you're a Plus Club member, some of you may have gotten an email on that if you're through Supporting Cast, so look for your email. And if you did not or you're on Apple, you can listen to the Behind the Scenes podcast of this week where we put the secret, super secret URL where you can go to join the Plus Club only fun. What do you say, Dar?
Well, the virtual campfire members we're talking about, it's like the secret decoder ring that Ralphie is waiting for.
Exactly.
on Christmas Story. So
and it's not drink your Ovaltine. And then what I would say is if you're not a Plus Club member, the second thing is join the Plus Club, jimharold.com/plus, jimharold.com/plus, because it's under the aegis of the Plus Club that we can do a show like this, which is not a big money maker, but it's something we love doing. It's something that many of you enjoy. So having the Plus Club allows us to do that. So
the Plus Club offers just so much. I mean, if you compare it to any other like YouTubers or other podcasters that you listen to, and they have their their little membership thing, Jim is giving you guys so much
and by the
content.
way, it's not just us saying that. A couple of years back when we made some changes in our Plus Club, we talked to a lot of the big companies that help you administer this kind of thing. And one specifically that worked with huge corporations, huge media companies. So they never saw a Plus Club that had so much value. 8 separate pieces of content that come out every month just for Plus Club members, plus the whole back archive. They were just amazed. And that was 2 years ago. So you've got another 2 years of content with new content.
No price increases.
Yeah. We have not increased the price. I believe it started in 2011. I've never increased the price. So I'm not saying it'll never happen, but that's unheard of.
That's unheard of, especially today when I went to the store and found that they raised a thing by $3. $3, something that we purchase, is now $3 more expensive. No, my mind is blown.
It's the way it goes. It's inflation. Up. Prices go up, and wages stay flat. Anywho, one thing that is changing, according to Time Magazine, finally, America is finally taking extraterrestrials seriously. Now, this is an interesting piece, first of all, the fact that it's Time Magazine. Now, Time Magazine ain't what it used to be. You know, it used to be if you're on the cover of Time, I mean, everybody knows it. This is a Time cover, and probably most people will never see it. But it is the cover story for August 17th, I believe it, the August 17th edition, I believe it is, coming up. And it has this thought piece, and it's kind of a wide view. So this is not as much for maybe you and I who are really steeped in this stuff. It's for somebody who's like kind of knows something about it and kind of gives a chapter in a verse. And at the end, there's some really interesting. They talk about the Tic Tac video, and they talk about the hearings and those kind of things. But towards the end, they talk to some scientists about some different thoughts and so forth. And I think it's interesting. The one scientist here, let's see if I can find him, Jack Singal, professor of physics at the University of Richmond, he puts the odds that any of the claimed UFO or UAP sightings over the past century have actually been one of the visitations at a low 5%. But he does say this: I would put the estimate of the chances that we've been visited, and I would define that as an exploration through our solar system leading to them being aware that Earth has life and civilization, at maybe something like 50%.
Wow.
And for a scientist, a professor of physics at a major university to say, hey, 50% we've been visited, in his view, not the visited that we hear about people have sightings and so forth, but in the general sense, that's a big movement, because I think even when I started this stuff, people like him were saying, There's nothing to it. The distances are too vast. And there's been a change in science, I think. It's not quite where I think it should be, but there is more willingness to discuss that this stuff is real.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to our virtual campfire member, GB, who posted this in general talk. So it's not the article because we don't allow links in virtual campfire
for security reasons.
But he put up a picture of the cover and he wanted to start a conversation. So if you want, go read the article. The link to the article will be in our show notes, but go read the article and comment with GB and have a nice little conversation over there about this article.
Yeah, and the other news is that there was last week another UFO tranche. I actually lost the article, so I have to pull it back up here. This was from the BBC. And again, I mean, I wonder how many people watching this don't even realize that this was released. Did you see much about it in the major media?
When I was looking for stories, most of the mainstream media websites, not all, but most of them did have like a little story about it, that it's the fifth release.
It's buried.
But I didn't hear it. I got no notifications. Usually when it's like, oh, news, that my phone's blowing up, I didn't get any of that. So in fact, I didn't even know about it till like the day after or something.
Yeah, the thing is that if two politicians have an argument, you get the Apple News alert right away. But the government releases.
If they go to the store or something and bought Gucci, I mean, like, please.
Exactly. Well, this latest release contains 41,000 total, over a dozen videos, and I'm going to take some exception to that. Over a dozen videos, 3 images, and a score of UFO documents. The oldest document is 1953. The most recent one is from this year. It includes some of the more interesting video footage captured over the Gulf of Oman in 2021 appears to show a dark, cold orb moving in irregular patterns. Another video captured by a U.S. military sensor camera at an undisclosed location in the Middle East in 2025 shows a round sphere traveling in a straight line over what looks like an urban residential area. They have a document from the FBI where a former military pilot talks about his UFO experiences. Now, here's where they lose me, and I know it's a minor point to people who are not involved in video and so forth, but they talk about a 1953 PDF document. The U.S. Naval Photographic Interpretation Center outlines its conclusions about 2 videos captured in the western United States in Montana and Utah in 1950 and 1952. Dar, what is the problem with that statement? Video didn't exist. They were film. They were film.
I was going to say.
Video didn't exist.
iPhones
I don't know the exact. Let's put it this way. It didn't exist in any kind of distributed way.
Well, maybe the government had something. I don't know.
So it's like everything. I mean, and if they're this imprecise about that, and probably the person who wrote this didn't even know, they figure any moving image, they probably figure like the first, the jazz singer was a video from 1927. No, it was a film. So the point is that not this specific thing, it's kind of a minor point. But if there's something like the BBC is so imprecise about a small fact like this, what did they get wrong about the bigger UFO picture? And I would argue, and I say this all the time, I'll watch local media and they'll report on something I know something about. Like, I know a good bit about. And I'm like, well, they got that wrong. They got that wrong. They got that wrong. How many things do I not know anything about? And I read it in the media and they're reporting incorrect facts, and I'm taking them as gospel. So remember, when you're reading something from the big media, remember, they may be journalists, they may be trained, they are also, and a lot of it now is AI, but they're also humans, they have knowledge gaps, and they just get it plain wrong because nobody can know everything about everything. And to be a general journalist, you cover stories about everything. Just to say, as we always say on the show, take everything you get from the media, including us. We're kind of media, I guess. Take it with a grain of salt. Check it out. Do your own research. I really think that's important. I thought I'd bring that up. But the new tranche is out. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. That might be that might be the title of today's show. Nobody cares about the UFO files.
Nah. Well, a very small minority care. And those people like us, we're all labeled as kooks anyway, so we don't matter. So we don't matter.
I could be a kook, but also right about this. Both things are possible.
Well, yes. Not in our society. It's always black or white. We have nothing in the middle. You are either a kook and intelligent or you're not. And just whatever. So that's how I feel. But
so you have... Go ahead.
But just to your point real quickly about, the media giving you imprecise... Everyone can be giving you imprecise information. So just... do your homework. That can include medical fields. It can include teachers. It can include universities. It can include, because yes, we are human. And
it doesn't have to be malicious or intentional.
No, no, not at all. Like you said, gaps in knowledge or just an error, or you thought you were taught this way and then you're imparting that information in a different way. Try to go to the head source and try to do your research and get as much information as you can about whatever it is. And then go back and compare and contrast and get your notes, and that's all.
Videotape was introduced in 1951 with the demonstration of a videotape recording by Bing Crosby Enterprises. The first of commercial videotape recorder was showcased by Ampex in 1956. And based on what I've seen in military footage, I'm almost certain those are film, not videotape. And by the way, I think that Bing Crosby had that commissioned tape because he wanted to be able to record programs and go play golf. So there you go.
Get on that back nine.
Yeah, well, he literally had the back nine because Dare Bingle passed away on a golf course, unfortunately.
Dare Bingle. Wasn't he going to go have a ice cold Coca-Cola?
I think his last words were, "That was a great round of golf. Why don't we go get a Coca-Cola, boys," or something like that, fellers. And then,
he didn't want some Minute Maid orange juice? No. People have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, talk about a deep cut. I mean, we were even little kids when
tiny. Yeah, I think it's just because I heard it afterwards, growing up, not because when it was happening. But
likely story.
Yes. Well, we don't have many updates about the missing scientists because, of course, the mainstream media lost interest in that story immediately. So it has been, and I've been trying for weeks to try to find something that somebody has talked about. And thank you so much, News Nation, because they did have a story out this week about the Melissa Casillas case. They found a gun nearby, and I think we all know that. And they've determined, their new report has said that it is a registered firearm. Now, investigators won't reveal who it's registered to, but it's registered. It was a black Springfield handgun, and it was found near her body. And they said no confirmation was made whether Casillas had any connection to it or was involved in her death. Later in the story, you'll read that her daughter says she didn't own a handgun. She didn't own any guns. And a cause of death has still not been determined for her. An initial CT scan showed her skull, no bullets, no projectiles. Where her body was found had been previously searched, but her dad's family members hired their own investigative team, which we've talked about. They discovered hair and bloody clothing and additional bones and torn pieces of paper at the scene, which we've talked about. The thing that still gets me too, her phone was there and it was wiped out via factory reset and it was left behind before she disappeared.
That's suspicious.
There's so many things. Jim, there's so many things suspicious about these people. Like the 12 people who've either died or are missing. Okay. They still haven't found McCaslin. It just weird stuff. Weird. And I'm sure the powers that be are so happy that everybody has forgotten about it and has shut up about it because they don't want to talk about what happened or what is happening or whatever. Yes, you can say, oh, it's just coincidence. There's just 12 people and it could be 12, times 100 all around the country that have no ties to it. I don't know. They all have some kind of weird ties to weird government things that are going on. That's just my opinion. So
Yeah.
take what you will, but they found a gun. It's registered. They didn't say to who. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Well, speaking of weird government ties, I think Ross Coulthart has a theory here. There was this program that we heard a lot about last year called these researchers that would go out in the desert and basically summon craft. Skywatcher.
Yes.
The UAP investigation group co-founded by Jake Barber, James Fowler, and financier Alex Klokas. Now, the last posted on X was Christmas Day of last year, when it reaffirmed its commitment to applying disciplined science, advanced sensing, and rigorous analysis to UAPs. But nothing since. Nothing since. Also, there's been nothing on the Skywatcher.ai website since James Fowler left in mid-August of 2025 to follow what he described as a new opportunity in aerial intelligence. Very interesting. So basically, they were summoning down the aliens, and they said they had a major breakthrough, I believe in July of last year, I think it was. They said they had a major breakthrough.
More than a year.
And now they've gone dark. And the theory here is that perhaps that the Skywatcher group has gone under the aegis of the U.S. government, is running a secret program with the U.S. government.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they're also speculating in this article.
Is that what people are saying?
People are saying. See, you asked for it that time.
I did.
So I'm just so tired.
There was
I
a
just
lull.
stopped
We
saying
needed.
it.
We're
yeah,
both
I'm just kind of So
I don't know
anyway,
if it's weather. I don't know what it is, but
yeah,
we're not on the game.
We're not on the game. Get your head in the game. As
oh please, I ruined a sweatshirt trying to make one of those this week. So
anyway. So there's another weird thing that happened in February 10th, 2026. The FAA dramatically closed the airspace over El Paso without adequate warning to government agencies in what the FAA initially said would be a 10-day shutdown.
Remember?
They ended up cutting that short. And this is very near where they had the Skywatcher operations before. So they're wondering in this article, which I think is basically kind of a recap of the reality check show that Ross Coulthart does for News Nation. That's the way that I'm taking. I haven't watched the actual episode. But the thing was supposed to last 10 days. It just lasted 7 hours. So maybe they retrieved whatever they had to retrieve.
I think we had a story about that with the airspace being closed over El Paso. And we're like, why? Why would they do that? So it's funny how things.
Well, Coulthart said.
But
Coulthart also says, I'm also told by White House sources that Trump has personally authorized this operation, which is the Department of War has quite literally taken on running its own covert operation to intercept these mystery objects. And he said, I'm told they have recently successfully downed craft in both the U.S. and just across the border near Juarez in Mexico. And I had seen something on X, and I can't remember who it was. Someone was theorizing that Trump had authorized the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, whatever you want to call him, Hegseth, to shoot down UFOs because they want to be able to retrieve them and present them as evidence, because the evidence the government already has is being blocked by the powers of be, whoever the powers of be are. So again, that doesn't say that in this article, but I'm putting 2 to 2 together. Is at first when I read that, I'm like, oh, that's just somebody talking. But could that be correct? And could that be tied to this supposed program? And the whole thing that gets me is this whole psionic idea, which is basically, I think it's a fancy word for psychic. Psionic sounds cooler. But the idea is they psychically call down the UFOs, which, to me seems a little wacky. But again, this whole subject's a little wacky, and maybe rightfully so. I think there's so much to it, and it's so much more, what's the word I'm looking for? So much more complicated that, the wackiest stuff might end up being the most true stuff, the stuff that is most challenging to our paradigm and the way that we look at the world. The craziest stuff might actually be the truth. I'm coming to that conclusion.
Well, think about how, I'm going back to the Age of Disclosure movie, Lou Elizondo. Remember, and I keep talking about this, but that's what stuck with me the most from that documentary was how many government agencies are involved in this. Even the Department of Energy. Come on, we've got it's not just CIA, it's not just FBI, it's not just defense, it's you got energy, and I forgot.
And they got different agendas.
Yes.
They got different agendas.
And they probably all have their information that they're compartmentalizing and not sharing it.
Right.
The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and they don't care.
Well, even in the official documents, we've seen this borne out. You've seen the Department of Energy, I think, or was the Atomic Energy Commission, I think it used to be called, in the 50s. I think they were involved. We know the FBI was involved. We know the CIA was involved. We know the branches of the military are involved. We know the executive branch is involved. We know the congressional branch. It's a web of conflicting. Then we've not even talked about the military-industrial complex. And
then you've got the secret people that are involved, because don't kid yourself. There is some major higher power. Well, I don't care what anyone says. There's something bigger
and I'm not
than
saying
all of
this
that.
is true, but Jesse Marcel Jr., the son of the first military officer on the scene at the Roswell crash, who supposedly brought some of the stuff home, and Jesse Marcel Jr. saw it. Now, he's since passed, unfortunately, but this was a guy who was, I believe he was a surgeon.
Junior passed?
Junior, both passed.
Oh, they're both passed.
I spoke to Junior, though, obviously, when he was still here. And he said that somebody took him down below the Capitol and told him that there was a whole secret government. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm not saying that's true, but he seems to me he served in multiple branches of the military. He was a physician. I mean, not a cuckoo guy. And he's saying that he was told on good sources that there's a whole secret layer of the government. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right.
Maybe he is.
Or maybe somebody was deceiving him. It's like a hall of mirrors.
If he comes out and says that, people will be like, what a kook. What a crazy guy. What the heck is he talking about? Nobody would believe him. So he probably...
Well, this whole thing reminds me of that one scene in the movie JFK. And Joe Pesci played the character David Ferrie, who is a very bizarre character involved in the whole JFK assassination, if you get into it. Just intelligence and mob connections and all kinds of weird stuff. And the line in the movie, and I don't know if he said this, but the line in the movie is that it's a riddle wrapped in an enigma. And I think that pretty much, when the president, and it sounds like maybe it says right here, sources also told News Nation that Trump may not be getting the full story about what is being recovered, with concerns among some that he's being told the objects are simply foreign spy drones. So, like or dislike the president, I kind of don't even think the president's getting the full story.
We talked about that last week. There was a story saying that they're not telling him everything. And we talked about why, because the role of president who's in it is transient. It's it's temporary. They're moving on. So they don't need to know everything. So it's whoever's there.
A need-to-know basis.
You got it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you asked me last week, you said, oh my gosh, now your thoughts about things have changed since you started doing the shows and you're more involved in everything. And I think the take home message really is how much we don't know and how much is not being we have no transparency, and most people are just okay with it. And I think that's what's been bothering me the most, because I'm not okay with it anymore. Because now it's like, well, wait a minute, and it's not just the UFO thing; it's everything. There are answers. There are so many questions out there, and we don't have any answers for them.
I don't know how many things in life where you hear something like this. Something comes out and people don't buy it, and they say, "Well, I believe X," and then the government or the media or wherever can say, that X thing, that's a conspiracy theory. And then 4, 5, 6, 10 years later, you find out, actually, those people who said X that were supposedly the conspiracy theorists, they were on to something. But by then, we've moved on to the next thing and nobody cares. So Correct. I'm not saying and by the way, I understand it. The phrase conspiracy theory was created by the CIA to debunk people who had conspiracy theories. So my point is that are all conspiracy theories true? Of course not. Some of them are wackadoo and make no sense. Particularly ones that go against groups of people and things like that. I think that's horrible. But is there something to some conspiracy theories? Absolutely.
Of course. So, I mean, I think that. I'm sorry. I just think there's a whole bunch of questions and we don't have answers. And those that are just so definitive in their beliefs, well, we know this. No, you don't. Because we don't, hey, we thought we solved, whatever, how many years ago, and it's still around. You know, you could say that for how many diseases, or you could say that for, I mean, look, we don't have the cure for cancer.
No.
Right? So, we know we have treatment, chemo, radiation, blah, blah. Yeah, you don't have a cure.
Right.
You don't even know what causes half the stuff that's
we know things, but we
cancer.
don't know all the things. That's
right.
We're always looking,
come on, people.
You're kind of getting into the health issue now. I know a lot of things are good for you. Like walking is good for you. Exercising is good for you. Eating well, which I don't have a lot of experience with because I grab anything I can get, but much to your chagrin. But that's good for you. But there's something else that might be surprising that apparently something else is good for you too. Tell us about it.
Yeah, studyfinds.com is telling everyone that seeing ghosts are good for you. So there is a new study out, and you know how I feel about studies many times, but I will say I'm kind of impressed with this one. I'm kind of impressed with this study.
Wow, you're a tough audience when it comes to studies.
I am. So, and they even have limitations at the end of this article. So it was a Brazil study. It was more than 5,000 people. And I love that they posted their limitations. It was peer reviewed. So thank you. We put something out that was already reviewed by other, scientists. They just didn't stick it out there and said, this is it. So they start like, okay, how about hearing a voice when no one's there? Feeling an overwhelming sense of love or awe with no cause? Sensing the presence of something that you can't see. So like we know just how many people call into Campfire with these stories, right? Everybody, millions of people have these experiences, right? And, people will try to explain it away. Oh, well, they were drunk. They were asleep. They weren't healthy. Well, this study out of Brazil, more than 5,000 adults, said that these moments are far more common and less catastrophic than the religious people or the psychiatrists will even assume. Okay. So, and I love this. I'm just going to read this because it says, researchers have long struggled to study experiences like these without boxing them into one of two camps, a symptom of mental illness or a sign from something greater. So this study set out to do neither. It simply asked people what happened, how they made sense of it, and whether it helped or hurt them in the long run. Okay. They said 3% of the people were either under the influence or substances at the time, and fewer than 3% said they were sick. Okay. So they said already we're going to eliminate those moments that like the doctors like to just, science, they're just nuts or, they're on drugs. So, right. So already kudos. I'm very excited. So they used a tool called the Inventory of Non-Ordinary Experiences, and it covered 38 types of unusual events. Intense joy, hearing sounds, seeing visions, sensing the presence of a deceased person, having an out-of-body experience, right? It didn't define them. It didn't make it like spiritual or psychiatric. It just asked if you had them. That's it. Because they even said, like, some of these scales will say, well, did you feel God's presence? So, like, they're trying to already put that bias of a religious bent to it. This scale did not do that at all. They first started their questions on 160 adults, and then they ran the full survey on 5,117 more, group whose age, sex, region broadly matched the country's population. They said it did lean a little more educated than average, but each person answered questions about one specific experience they had. And that's one of the limitations, they said, because a lot of times people have more than one experience, but this was only asking about one. And, 60% on average said they were awake and alert when it happened. Being alone was the second most notable pattern. By 40% of the people, they were alone when something happened. And almost all of them, like 66%, said that the experiences were very brief, just a few minutes, right? And, asked, what did you think it meant, right? And, most people said it was just chance, maybe followed by like a sign or a message. That was another thing that was more popular. But the most telling numbers concern well-being. 20% of the participants reported an immediate negative reaction when the experience occurred, and 25% said it caused some suffering or discomfort. So that's just really low. But here's the best part of this. When asked about long-term effects, 51% said their experience was having a lasting positive impact on them.
Wow.
And only 15% said that negative lasted. So they are saying, the limitation is it was only in Brazil, so maybe different cultures, because it wasn't in other countries. But, so far, I'm kind of happy with this one because it's like 5,000 people. It's a good sample size, and they don't seem to have put in a bunch of biased kind of questions in there on their scale. So kudos. So that means it's showing that people that are having these experiences, like people that call in a campfire, it's positive. I mean, mine was positive when I saw Mary the night my mom died. That did have a very positive, lasting effect on me. It did.
Funny you should mention that, because that plays into our next story, because I believe this is kind of what you had. The next story is from Popular Mechanics, and it is about shared death experiences. And, again, for those of us super steeped in this, it's not totally new, but I think it's a great thing to expose general people to this concept, because I'm guessing most people have never heard of a shared death experience. And it's kind of like a near-death experience, but it's when you're either at bedside or you can be far away from a loved one and have an experience at the time of death. And we've done shows about this. For example, we did one with Dr. Raymond Moody about shared death experiences, who invented the term near-death experience. So he knows of what he speaks. And this starts out with a gentleman by the name of William Peters, and his shared death experience was thusly. He said his father was, ready to die, about to die. He was there at the bedside. He found himself in a different dimension where he saw loved ones such as his deceased grandmother, aunt, and his grandfather, whom he'd never met. Now, these are things usually you hear about with near-death experiencers, but he wasn't the one dying. It was his father. He asked his grandmother and aunt, the dead ones, why isn't he dying, referring to his father, because he wasn't going, the father. And then Peters said they directed his attention to over top of his father's body. The moment Peters moved his focus there, he locked onto a presence. And then he said, "Oh my gosh, that's the conductor." What he meant by conductor was the person who was in charge of helping his father pass over. Peters said, "The power of this being let me know it was in charge of the transition, and it wasn't just quite the right time yet, but we were getting close. In a matter of a few moments, my father died and transitioned." But, there's different kinds of ones. And I think they said something like, according to this study or this work that they've done, 64% happen when people aren't at the bedside remotely. 36 happen by the bedside. So I would almost say your vision of Mother Mary at approximately the time your mom died, I'm wondering if that is really a shared death experience, because there's different kinds. They're not just the kind that Mr. Peters had.
Yeah, I've often, over these years, many years now, I've gone back and I have that vision in my head. I would never be able to explain it or describe it to anyone to even draw what she looked like. But I often wonder, I'm like, was it Mary? Was it just a form of my mom? Like coming to me, you know what I'm saying? But I knew Mary, so when I saw this vision, I was like, Mary. But I didn't put together that she was visiting me because my mom was passing at that time. But boy, it did line up time-wise, right? Yeah. So I mean, I never thought, oh, that's my mom. You know, I'm like, oh, that's Mary. Like I knew that was Mary.
Yeah, I'm saying that seeing Mary might have been part of the shared death experience, not that you were seeing your mom.
Do you think like my mom? So are you kind of saying like my mom saw Mary when she was passing, or do you just say that she was just dying and that
it could
was the
be
vision?
either way? It could be either way. But that could have been what you saw. Maybe she saw her as well. Maybe she was the conductor. Maybe she was the one helping
I thought
her
about
pass
that
over.
when I saw the beginning of this article.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that because I'm going to cry. So
speaking of research,
I don't want to cry today.
There was research published in the peer-reviewed American Journal of Hospice and Palliative Medicine. So we're not talking Weekly World News here.
Right.
Found that SDEs can cause changes in an experiencer's belief, help them reconcile grief, and give them a perception of continued bonds with the deceased. Overall, the findings of the 2021 study suggest that SDEs involve varying levels of consciousness, are frequently transformative, and may have a significant impact on both bereavement and end-of-life care.
Wow.
And they talked to Thais Oliveira da Silva, PhD, researcher at the Research Center in Spirituality and Health at the Federal University of Juiz de Fora, Brazil. And I believe it is a she. She said psychological interpretations such as anticipatory grief or the religious and spiritual needs of family caregivers confronted with impending loss may explain some cases, but they do not appear sufficient to account for the full range of reported experiences. In other words, we can't explain it. So, and then it goes on to some
Science
more kind
can't
of
explain something.
Yeah, it goes on to some more, kind of like the typical science debunking stuff. But overall, it's a good article, and I think it's interesting. And again, I think we experience these things, and science can't explain it. It reminds me of a few weeks ago we had, I can't remember her first name, Dr. Maffeo. Dr. Maffeo.
Yes, Melissa Maffeo.
Melissa. I keep wanting to call her Michelle.
She's so nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Although certainly in the skeptical camp, and I asked her about near-death experiences, and it was kind of like humana. I mean, not in those words, but it was kind of like she really didn't have an explanation. And it's like, score one for the believers, because I felt like we kind of, positioned that question to her, and she really didn't have an explanation because there really is no traditional scientific explanation. Maybe for some of it, but not for the whole thing.
There are biological things that are happening, and I don't think either side is debating that but what about the other things that are happening during that time that aren't that can't be explained by biology or physics that can't be explained by hardcore science. There are things going on. Sorry.
Now, something else going on that I can't explain is this next story. It's horrible, but let me say...
It's a trigger.
Well, I also say I'm assuming this is all alleged. So let's be very careful how we position this.
I'm going to be using a lot of... Yes, we're going to... First of all, it's a trigger warning against violence, killing, bullying. So if you are worried about that, maybe you want to fast forward a little bit so you're not hearing this, but it's and it's also, this is from TMZ. Okay. So we know how these different publications can get a little sensational in their reporting. So everybody just chill, try to be objective.
Alleged. We're not saying it.
I'm not saying anything. I'm reporting what they're saying. Okay. Right. To be honest, I have no skin in this game. I don't care. But anyway, our good friend, Matt Rife and Elton Castee, who they purchased the Haunted Warren property, remember? And they're all entangled with Jason Hawes with the Conjuring
House.
About
that. Yes.
Okay. So anyway, so apparently Matt and Elton went on Instagram.
Allegedly.
No. They went on Instagram. It was posted on Instagram, an upcoming event at the Haunted Warren Museum. Okay. So they posted this event. And they posted this event, and a paranormal investigator, his name was Chris Mack, responded to the post. I'm just reading this by giving an online sermon on the Salem witch trials. And I'm going to quote this one. for reasons unknown led Matt to rip the, quote, lifeless douchebag, end quote, by saying, quote, please remove yourself from this earth, end quote. Chris responded to the attack on Facebook saying, now am going move forward with all this nonsense garbage. What Matt said in Casty, control your mentor Matt or get Matt therapy. I don't want ever want see Matt bully a person with autism again. Do I make myself clear? Not okay to say with a person with autism, I have autism. Okay, so a source close to Matt tells TMZ that the comedian is relentlessly bullied in the comment section of his posts with vile remarks attacking him. We're told Matt responds to the trolls. Don't respond to the trolls. But anyway, responds to the trolls, and then the troll deletes their comment. The source said, quote, there is context missing from Matt's exchange with Chris since the comments are deleted. There's, quote, no evidence from the comments that Matt knew Chris had autism. Chris doesn't have a large following on social media but the people he does have are now haunting Matt after the attack. And they're saying not new because everyone's attacking Matt allegedly all the time. And they always say he's only into this ghost hunting for the money. And I'm going to quote this part too. Matt Nelton charged people up to $166 for admission to the Haunted Warren Museum. And that has, they use the word, I'm going to say peeved, but they don't use that word, off a lot of people in the paranormal community who investigate these cases out of passion, not money, end quote. So I had heard that Matt does do that. Like people attack him and then he attacks back. So.
Right. And I can, to some extent I can understand. I can understand because even we get really
I get very nasty comments.
Well, let's put it this way.
Whatever.
We don't get as nasty comments as a lot of people do. A vast majority of people are nice, probably as a result of doing this. That's that you got it. That's why I told you say, oh, people don't like me. It's like you get a strong reaction from people. The vast majority are positive. And then along with that, you get a few people who are nasty. And I mean, it's okay if someone doesn't like me or doesn't like you. That's fine. I mean, even I find it with personalities that I watch. I'm like, oh, that person's not my cup of tea. Just don't be nasty about it. I recently had something. I'll give you an example. I didn't even tell you about this, Dar. There was someone I follow on YouTube, and they have a show with a couple of other people. And it's a really good show with a lot of good information. But this one guy, totally cuts people off and won't let them finish. And I just made a comment, but I didn't do it in a nasty way. I said, I appreciate the enthusiasm this person has, but this would be so much better if he would just back off and let other people speak. But I didn't say, I hate that guy. I can't stand that guy. He's overbearing.
The ones that I get about shut up and let Jim speak and that kind of stuff. Using shut up. Yeah.
And then I get people... Then I get people who, there I just cut you off. I just did but I get people who say, Jim doesn't ask enough questions. And then I get the opposite. It's like, Jim's always interrupting people. So you can.
Jim asks too many questions. Jim doesn't let the people talk.
Yeah.
Dar's always cutting Jim off. But not in a nice way. But here's the deal. This is what I always say. I know you guys, I'm a broken record. Shut up. Why do you have to put anything in? Why do you waste your time making a comment if it's nasty? Just shut up. I told you 40 times. I hate that stupid progressive commercial about, oh, you're turning into your parents. I have such restraint because, boy, I would love to email them and tell them that commercial could go take a what. Okay? I don't. Because you know why? I have other things to do with my time. I just don't watch the commercial. If it comes on, I fast forward. I'm done. Okay? It's okay to not like things. I don't expect everyone to like me. I don't expect everyone to like you. I don't like everybody. It's, you know what I mean? It's fine. But I don't tell people. It's like, can you use your brain? Can you have some politeness and kindness and just shut up?
But I do think there is room for constructive criticism. I'll give you a perfect example.
And we have gotten some, and I appreciate that.
I'll give you a perfect example. We put up one of the campfires, And somebody said, love the show, but it's constant ads. And I'm like, well, come on. I'm very serious about putting in the main body of the show 3 ad breaks per campfire, which it's basically every 25, 30 minutes, which I think is pretty good. And I know it's less than the average for podcasts. But I went and looked at it, and YouTube does this thing where it turns on automatic ads. And usually I go in and turn that off and I place them myself. Well, Jim forgot to do it that time. And they were absolutely right. It was like an ad every 3 minutes. It was ridiculous. And I appreciated that comment because that led me to like, hey, let me take a look and see if I'm thinking right here. And I made a mistake. So I think there's a place for constructive criticism, and maybe that comment I made to that guy will make him think, you know what, maybe I should back off a little bit, and it'll make it a better show. But that's a difference between, insulting people, saying you should die, some of the nasty things have been said to you.
I know,
and I'm
Matt,
sure he gets attacked. He gets attacked.
He's a comedian, first of all, so he says things, and I've read, he says things that really set people off. He does.
Because that's
listen.
what,
just don't
that's
listen.
What,
why do you guys care? Like, what do you bother for? There's so many other things you can be listening to. Just leave
That's
it alone.
true. And so many more things you could be buying, but
go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you don't have something nice to say, just shut up. No.
See, I'm talking about interrupting people. I'm doing nothing but interrupting you. I apologize.
We do try. We have taken that constructive criticism for those that have told us that we interrupt. It's just, we both like to talk and we both have a lot to say. And it's just like this at our house. So if you came to dinner, you would see it. You want to know who gets the brunt of it in our house? Poor Natalie. Natalie is constantly interrupted, cut off by everyone. And I have seen it now. So now when she's talking, I directly look at her and I don't say anything, but they've got Jim and Cassandra constantly, well, what about, and I'm like, and Natalie's rolling her eyes and sighing. So just don't think it's just on our show.
Natalie, you're not going to watch this, but I apologize.
No.
All right. 3 items, according to Daily Star, to never buy from charity shops. And this is not good because I've got 2 of these 3 things.
I know. I read that today. I saw this article. I'm like, oh.
Number 1. And this is according to Ruby, a self-proclaimed paranormal queen who took to TikTok to warn viewers to avoid snapping up such secondhand goods at all costs. She said, There are 3 things you should never, ever buy from a charity shop. And I'm pretty much betting that at least one of those things you have right now. Number 1, secondhand books. Dun, dun, dun. I've got some of those, although I don't have as many as I used to. And I know, I'm sure Cassandra has some because she loves books. I'm sure she's picked up a few over the years.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. She says paranormal investigators call these things possessed possessions, which are objects that spirits attach to. The older the object is, the worse it is. She went on to point out that it's not the horror novels you should be wary of. It's anything that has been inscribed. And, and on another item here that comes into play, I'll bring that up in a moment. It said diaries, books with notes in the beginning of them. My grandmother used to leave me notes in books or anything like that. You're not just buying the book, you're buying that person as well. Number 2, and this is the one, old vinyl.
We just talked about this on Behind the Scenes, so go listen to it.
Next up is the one most people don't suspect. There's a theory in the paranormal industry called the stone tape theory. This is true. She elaborated this, the idea that a strong emotion or event imprints itself onto some form of material it replays. Now think about what a record actually is. It's a recording that sat in somebody's room for 50 years through every argument, through funerals, grief, and the last night in that house. So when people say they can hear sounds under the music, then make of that what you will. I've never heard that before. Did you play a record and you hear mysterious sounds? But that goes back to the inscriptions because a lot of times you buy these old records and they have, people's names on stuff. And I'm like, that person's long dead. And I always think of that. It's like, oh my God, they're so dead. They've got to be dead. They bought this in 1957. They got to be dead.
That's so cheery.
And then the third one we know about from the campfire, mirrors. Oh. Never buy a secondhand mirror. In traditional lore, mirrors are not objects or doorways. Some say they trap spirits. Some say they absorb the energy of the last person looked into it. And I highly recommend If you haven't heard that, that's in the Plus Club in the Campfire. Michael's story. And in fact, I've told it many times at our library events. Although this year, if you're coming to our library events that are coming up, we'll have a new batch of stories.
All new stories. Yes.
All new stories. But he had a great experience with and great by mean, not so great experience with a haunted mirror. So yeah.
I was just thinking that my mom and dad bought a mirror from an estate sale. That just, I don't know why I just thought of that right now, but I don't remember anything paranormal happening with it. So I don't know. What I do know is kind of going along with what we were saying with the Matt Rife story, that this tarot reader has a very important message for people who watch online card readings. Yep. So Inbal Honigman, she's spent decades on tarot and astrology and clairvoyance and everything. And, she feels like the advent of social media has brought a lack of regulation in broadcasting, has contributed to, quote, the spread of non-personalized psychic readings, which are pointless and meaningless. She did say because of social media, though, it has normalized, psychics are more normalized now, where they used to be like, they would say they were like ugly, dodgy ladies sitting in dusty libraries. But she's warning you when you start looking at some of these things, because she said, she acknowledges some advice is pointless, but that's not to say everything online is worthless. She does recognize that there's some brilliant psychics out there that share some really very helpful, genuine experiences, videos. She does a weekly YouTube one, but she said you have to be careful because, quote, there are videos by beginner psychics who should just be more upfront in explaining that they're just starting out. No matter how gifted, a beginner's reading won't carry the same depth as that of a veteran. And she said there are, of course, out and out fraudsters who don't even try to give a psychic reading. They try to direct the viewer to a paid service. And then she said, and then we got the AI videos of people who don't really exist, and they're sharing generic flat advice, and it's no spiritual value. So she said, just the choice, rests with you, and big important decisions are for you to decide and not for a psychic to decide, and she said that applies to like financial advisors, midwives, and sports coaches, not only psychics. You make the decision.
That's right. That makes a lot of sense.
So she's just saying what a lot of people are saying. Just be aware of what is out there and do your homework, basically.
Good advice. Good advice indeed. And then you have this one, and this would be disturbing. Now, this one would be disturbing.
It would, and this is why I included it. It's not totally paranormal, but it is bizarre and weird. This man dressed up as the Grim Reaper, and he climbed onto the hospital roof, and he stared at people walking in. This was in Denbighshire, North Wales. Denbighshire. Leon Gillespie, 26, donned an all hooded black outfit, and he had the blade, and he didn't move. He stood there motionless, and he had the long blade, and he just stood on the roof staring at people going in and out of the hospital. People were like shocked and scared. I mean, think about that. Especially if you're already distraught and you're going
what
into
if
the
you're about ready to
hospital
go
and
into
somebody's
surgery
dying.
and you look out the window and it's like the Grim.
Right? Well, they all descended. They had 4 police cars, a fire crew. They got him because he was on the roof for over an hour. He was fined £200 after pleading guilty to causing a nuisance at the hospital. The health board has a zero tolerance approach to abuse or nuisance or aggression within its hospital sites. So I think that would be terrifying. I mean, even though, it's like not, it's not real and it's some guy standing there, but you don't certainly need to see that when you're walking in. Maybe one of your loved ones is dying, or maybe you're going through something and it's like, here you go. You see death staring at you.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, it's about time to kill this episode, I think.
Hey.
So,
that's not nice. People
Well,
say
actually,
it
I
died.
got to go
People
because
say it died when you first started.
that's right. I
But,
got to
um,
output these files like in 5 minutes so I can
Got
go on
another
and do another
interview. He's
interview at
just-
1:30.
he's
Yeah, today
cranking
I'm
them out
cranking them
today.
out. Well, we thank you all. We hope if you're in the Plus Club that you will join us for the Spooky Studio Net coming up this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, August 13th. And if you're not part of the Plus Club, we hope that you will join us. JimHarold.com/plus. Any last words of wisdom, Dar?
No, I don't have any wisdom. No.
All right, let's hit the music.
Let's hope for a better week. Everybody stay healthy and stay
and
spooky.
stay spooky. Bye-bye.